church life and Jesus' teaching, which I've never, in 3.5 years here, addressed in a focused way as it relates to our local context. In a way, it's been a blessed relief to not have been so pressed that it's been necessary to raise it. In another sense, it is a really important part of Christian life and community, and I've been negligent in not raising it. The aspect to which I refer is stewardship. And when better to talk about stewardship than on the day of the annual meeting and when the choir is singing, which meant that I hoped most people would be here, hasn't turned out that way, but sort of caught in a homiletic trap. You couldn't escape. Now, when coming to this topic, I was naturally, intuitively, I guess, drawn to the term stewardship, because that is the word just widely used in Anglican church circles. It quickly dawned on me, though, what a strange word it is. How often outside of the church is the word stewardship really used? Say again?
At the races.
At the races. Yeah, that's it. It's in the Bible a fair bit. At the races, apparently, Cassandra. Conservation, yeah.
Stewardship of the environment.
Yeah. Okay, well, you're all better than me, okay? Because the first example that came
Other than
to...
that, never.
Honestly, the first thing that came to mind for me was the steward of Gondor in The Lord of the Rings. That was the first thing that came to mind. Basically, the word steward, or its active tense, stewardship, it means being a custodian on behalf of another, managing something for another, holding in trust, that kind of thing. And thinking about that, it dawned on me how far-reaching that goes. Arguably, stewardship, as rare and arcane a word as it is, outside of The Lord of the Rings and the races and a couple of other places, arguably, it really describes a fundamental orientation towards all things as being entrusted to us by God. Everything comes as a gift. Everything is God's first, with us as caretakers. Now, I have actually committed a terrible cardinal Anglican sin today in that I changed the readings for this day from what was in the lectionary. But I wanted to have the Bible speak to us about this from different angles. So, from the first book of Chronicles, we hear King David making that stunning statement in verse 14. All things come from you, and of your own have we given you. All things come from God, and of God's own do we give back to God. I think that is stunning. And I have to admit, stewardship as a concept and its implications for behaviour is something so countercultural that it may take a lifetime for it to really sink in. Because I, and many others in the cultural West, thank you so much, Dan. You're a champion. Thank you.
Good stewardship there.
Oh. Nice. We're used to thinking in terms of private property, personal ownership, things being ours first and foremost, to do with as we will. Mostly to do with as we will. We've still got mortgages and rent and rates and that sort of thing. But as part of that, I guess, economic outlook, which quite naturally to us claims private ownership, and I'm not suggesting there's anything wrong with that per se, but things more transparently related to God's kingdom can seem like an optional discretionary component amongst others which are competing for our attention. But through the stewardship lens, everything is God's. Everything material that we have, all the resources that we have, primarily God's, and we're the caretakers. And we're charged with managing that in a way, to put it really simply, that Jesus would be pleased with. That he would say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Money and wealth feature hugely in Jesus' teaching, not just for illustrative purposes, but actually in terms of moral behaviour and the impact on spirituality and our relationship with God, for better or worse. The proper and godly consideration of and use of money and wealth is definitely a topic of top 5 importance in Jesus' teaching, maybe even top 3. And it naturally followed that the couple of generations of first Christians were acutely aware of this. Hence, for example, the teaching in that first letter to Timothy: the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. And for those who are rich in the present age, be rich in good works. Now, I want to suggest that in viewing your resources as God's foremost, there is a natural consequence which is related to the community and precinct of God's people to which you belong, which is here. And look, I'm aware this is a time of acute pressures for many people due to rising interest rates and cost of living happening on a global level. I suspect that Philip Lowe and the Reserve Bank of Australia have never been so frequently brought before God in petition than this past year. And I know many of you, if not all, support charities of different kinds, and I commend you for that. I'm aware multiple people here generously support family members and friends in their countries of origin. Seriously, I cannot tell you how inspiring I find that. And what I want to say is, we are a place worth supporting as well. We are. And it is right, as with all things, to periodically review that support. Whether to say, yeah, this is the right amount, or actually it's a bit much given my obligations elsewhere, or I need to up my game a bit, actually. I can't say much more than that because I am a truly awful salesperson. Truly. But I encourage you to think about what this place and its ministry means to you. Consider when you last reviewed your financial support and make a change accordingly. If that ironically results in a catastrophic decrease in offerings, I will consider getting a guest preacher on stewardship next time around. It is worth noting, and I raise this with some trepidation. Typically, clergy also support the parish in which they serve financially. So, my family does financially contribute to this place. Literally, the day after payday, we donate back into the church to support the various aspects of what goes on. We believe in God's mission in this place. And indeed, having a look at the actual offerings for the year in the annual meeting book, My family giving represents about 7.5% of that total. So you can make of that what you will, but I just want to be clear. I do try and put my money where my mouth is. I do believe in what God is doing in this place, the various things that go on, and I want to support that. All things come from you, and of your own have we given you. Sit with that verse this week, this month, and see how the Spirit speaks to you through it and shapes you. All things come from you. Of your own have we given you. The Lord be with you.